When someone returns home, they may experience isolation, frustration, anger, confusion. You may experience flashbacks, sleep disturbances, vivid nightmares, lack of appetite because you've been used to, you've been on starvation rations maybe, sensitivity to smells, to sounds, irritation with people, losing your temper with people. For months, I didn't believe that I had returned. And I was worried that I was going to be taken back. I kept asking my son, is this really happening? Am I really here? Which is terrifying in itself. But all these things are normal. They are absolutely normal. And they are not to be frightened of them. Try not to be frightened of your emotions, because your emotions will run away with you. You might cry over the slightest little thing. It's normal, and they will fade. Your memories will fade. The fears that you had will fade. It's all temporary. They will not be frightening forever. You do adjust. You will adjust. It just takes time. It's highly likely that when you are returned, you will be expected to do a debrief, which is generally carried out by the police or some officials. The idea of the debrief is to give you an opportunity to impart knowledge. It could be used in courts of law. It could be used in tracking the people that took you. I think it's important for anyone who is going through this to try and take some control of it yourself. If you're not happy with the person that's debriefing you, because it's a very intimate process as well, if you're not happy with that person, don't be afraid to say, actually, I don't feel comfortable with you. Is it okay if someone else takes over? Because you are the important person in that room. No one else is important, really. It's really beneficial if the debriefing process can be done without any distractions, because it's an exhausting piece of work. It's taking you back to places where you don't want to be. It's taking you back to memories that you don't want to have, you don't want to recall. But it's essential piece of work. And it also as well can act as a buffer between you being released or rescued and going back into your family life. Because when you get back into your family, that's when the work about reintegrating will begin. Please do not be afraid to go and demand to see the doctor. It's your right. You deserve it. You should have a thorough medical examination. In my case, I thought, oh no, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I'm back. Yes, I only weigh 5 stone, but I'll put on weight. And I didn't actually get to see a doctor till about 3 months after I came back. I then discovered that I was suffering from osteoporosis and I needed, B12 and all these different vitamins and things that I was deprived of. But I felt myself that I can cope with this. There's nothing wrong with me. But you should go and get a thorough checkup. You should demand it. Don't be fobbed off by any doctor's receptionists. When you come back, it's quite common to have sleep disturbances. You just want to fall asleep there and then. It's almost like having narcolepsy. You could be sitting reading a book or something and then you just fall asleep. I had no control over it whatsoever. And I remember that being a big problem for me. I just wander around the house aimlessly, not knowing what to do. It was a very frustrating time. And if anyone does experience that, I'm here to tell them that it does pass. You can correct that. You have to work on it, but it passes. Which is great to be in this position now, 3 years on, to say to anyone who's just come back from captivity or in their first year that, all these terrible nightmares that you're having, all this, the weird surreal experience that you may be having, just being back in the world, in your life, it will pass, and it's great when it does. It's really great. You don't have to hang on to it. There's this sort of natural expectation that you will arrive back to your family and everything will be fine. You just get back on, go back to work, go back to school, college, wherever, and your life will be normal. And that is never going to be. It's never going to be like that. That's not to say it's not going to be as good a life as it was before. It's still going to be different. You will be coming back to a world that is different when you left it. They're going to look different. They're going to have lost weight. They will look drawn. They may have been in the dark. I was in solitary confinement for 6 months. My skin was waxy and pallid. My hair had fallen out. It's quite shocking the very first time you see that person. Generally, there will be a loss of appetite. They may be wanting to sleep different hours of the day and night, lethargy. But, these are all things that can be worked through. They're not going to be like this forever. And there are people out there that will help. As a family member, you have to kind of learn how to live with that person again. And they will be different. You will be different. Because the family and the returning hostage, have all been through such a major, major upheaval in your life. I think it's important that when former hostages are returned to their family, that there is someone looking out for them. Because the media will get hold of this story and they will do anything and everything to get information about this person. So I think this is where a good, strong family member can be the gatekeeper, can be protector almost, because your emotions are still going to be incredibly raw. You are going to feel incredibly fragile, so you will need someone to just to look out for you. The expectation is that you will get back to a level of normality with your family. But, like in everything, like in any relationship, it has to be worked at. I suppose the most important advice that I would give to families is to give the returning hostage time to readjust, time to settle back into their home, your home, together. Any returning hostage should not be forced into talking about what's happened. That must come when that person is ready to do that. As frustrating it is, because people will want to ask you questions. People ask me some really crass questions, which you just have to ignore really and get over, because it's important as well when you come back to feel comfortable in yourself, to be able to talk about what's happened. And there are families that have never spoken about it, never. But they've got on with their life and they are, rubbing along. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You'll find your own way through it. We all do. It's going to take a while to get back to some form of normal family life. But it will happen. It will happen. Reintegration is a very tough process, and just by going through it, you're going to find out a lot about yourself that you didn't already know, even despite the fact that you've come back from a period of captivity where you've been to hell and back, really. So reintegration is going to be a really tough process. So give yourself time, be patient with yourself and others around you, and be kind to yourself. And seek help when you need it. Don't be afraid to say, I'm not feeling too good today. If help is offered to you, take it. And most importantly, just be aware of this roller coaster of emotions that you're going to go through. It's normal, it will pass. And also be prepared for the long haul. I was given a really important piece of advice by a trauma specialist, which I think of now, and it was the best piece of advice. He said, on your return, don't do anything for 6 weeks. And don't make any major decisions for the next 6 months. Then you can start rebuilding your life. But in that 6 months, just go through life, potter through life if you can, day by day by day. My advice would be for the family to work together to try and create, build up confidence, because you lose confidence. To try and build up that confidence so that you can feel good about yourself. You know, you've lost your self-esteem, you've lost your confidence, you've lost you. And it's about trying to get that you back, and everyone can play a part in that. It's about taking every day as it comes without too many expectations. Getting back into some sort of routine and taking control back of your life, because you've had control taken away from you. Give yourself small goals to work towards. They don't have to be huge. I mean, mine were just to get those bins in order. You know, get the blue one out on this Monday and the green one out on that Monday. To get dressed before lunchtime. I mean, I'm talking from a personal point of view. I would spend most of my day in just pajamas and just slob around, and I thought, this is just not getting me anywhere. And I know how easy it is to think like that and be like that, but it's not good. And it's not good for people to see either. It's not good for your family to see, because they want to see some sort of semblance of the person that you once were. It's really important to try and create some structure, and this is where, you know, your partner, husband, wife, can be supportive to do that. It doesn't have to be anything major, you know, like just perhaps walk around the park or potter about in the garden. Just try and get some sort of structure into your day. Structure gives you a purpose, a peace of mind, and it gives you a satisfaction that you've actually done something. Routines are good because they help get your brain thinking back into, it's 10 o'clock, I'll sit down and have a cup of tea, or I will go out and check out the greenhouse or the garden or whatever. It's really important because it's so easy to sink into some kind of apathy. And I know, because I did this for a time, and it's not a good place to be. A former hostage can look forward to having a really good quality of life again. At the time you think this is never going to end, but it does end. They can look forward to feeling happy again, feeling free. You know, life is so precious, and I guess you have to learn to live it again. And you will do it. I have done, other hostages I have interviewed have done as well. And we've all got a good quality of life. It's there. You've just got to work towards it. As a returning hostage, you want to be seen as being as normal as possible and coping. And of course, that is going back to work. You want to get back to work as soon as possible because you don't want people to define you by what's happened, which is really, really dangerous. If you're returning to work, you have a right to request a returning to work interview. And you also you deserve to be able to negotiate how you return to work, when you return to work. Don't feel that you have to go back to work immediately, 5 days a week. You don't. And you won't be able to do it because, you know, you're still suffering from the aftermath of a traumatic time in your life, a dramatic, traumatic experience. So your concentration levels are going to be very low. Your fitness levels are going to be much reduced. Your memory is going to be affected. Your cognitive ability is going to be affected. What is better? Going back to work immediately and thinking you can do 5 days a week and then not being able to, making yourself ill, or returning to work saying, I really want to come back to my job, but I won't be able to do this full time initially. There's no reason to say that you are never going to go back to work full time again, because you will be able to. It's just how you approach it. If you want support, Hostage UK can be there as an advocate for you. You be in control. You take control of the situation, and your employers should respect that.